wife and Bobby Bird's wife came out of freaking nowhere.
Honestly, all the women kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest.
Yeah, Tika Sumpter was in there, and she was randomly a singer, but also like making eyes at James Brown, but not singing while she did so, and like jealous that he looked at this other girl in the audience, but also, who are you?
Yeah, I don't know how he noticed that girl in the audience.
Me neither. All of a sudden, she was in the back, and we kept seeing her, and then she slowly speaking.
Yeah, like every once in a while they'd show someone, I'm like, am I supposed to know who this is? And they're like, I straight up don't. But then they appear in another scene, like, oh, I guess
maybe I should have.
Like, I don't know.
Hi, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Belle.
And this is the Black Catch-Up, where we're catching up on iconic black movies we missed out on in our more conservative religious childhood. Chadwick Boseman tribute continues.
Yeah, I guess today might actually be his birthday. I don't know when this is coming out exactly.
Yeah, his birthday's November 29th.
Yeah, it's close by. It's either today or like tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah.
But happy birthday, you know?
The IMDb is a chronicle of James Brown's rise from extreme poverty to become one of the most influential musicians in history.
Okay. So yeah, as per usual, things we liked. You want to start this one off?
Sure. We're obviously going to talk about the acting.
Yeah.
That was so good. Especially the scene that I pinpoint is one of my favorite scenes, especially in terms of like acting and like acting chops, was when James Brown and his mom have that confrontation after she's like, I know him, he's my son.
Yeah,
towards the end. I just really loved it. Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman are both phenomenal actors. And I'm excited because I think their movie's coming out in December. Their last, Chad Boseman's last like film role. So they're just so good. That was a really good scene. All of them were really great, to be honest. But that was a really good scene.
I actually had the exact same scene written down. Like I really like that, especially like after she leaves and Chadwick kind of just like keels over.
Yeah.
And it's like it was like you see him like kind of holding it together, saying like, you know, James Brown doesn't need anyone. James Brown only needs James Brown. And then as soon as his mom leaves, he like collapses. You know, I thought that was like such a powerful moment.
Really good.
So like that was, I think that was probably my favorite moment. You know, I guess the next thing I had down was I just kind of like the music theme. You know, not necessarily the music itself. Like I didn't like the music itself.
Yeah.
But I liked how they kept the music kind of running as like that subplot of like, you know, oh, he's having this like hardship as a child, but there's music playing in the background, and that's kind of like how he finds his peace. You know, so I kind of like how they like kept music as like playing that role, like, you know, kind of being his peace, his form of therapy, his form of connecting with people. He had the quote that kind of went through the movie like the funk doesn't stop or something along the funk doesn't die, something like that. But I just kind of like that, like kind of like that musical like undertone of this whole thing. You know, like music has kind of been there his whole life. You know.
I would like to give a very special and well-deserved shout out to costume, makeup. They tore that shit up.
Yeah.
I mentioned the specific outfit of when he's doing the little interviews where he has like a vest and a fur coat.
Yeah.
Like
this one outside like the plane.
And then you realize that's what he was wearing in the interviews.
Yep.
Like, that outfit. All the vests were wonderful.
Yeah.
Also, just in terms of the makeup and hair, when we first see Chadwick Boseman on screen as James Brown, couldn't recognize him.
Yeah.
Especially in the older scenes that we get a little bit later in the movie.
So they did a lot. Like there were a lot of different versions of James Brown.
Yeah, that they had to like juggle with and everything.
And it wasn't just like the hair. Like they had to kind of like show kind of everything.
Yeah,
all
like
the
aging and
all of that. You know,
costume, makeup, UDMVPs.
Yeah.
Like, so good.
No, I definitely agree with that one. Let's see the other thing I had. Yeah, I also like Chadwick's accent. Like, again, like I think he bought that like Chadwick swagger to the role. You know, again, I mentioned his laughing in the last movie we watched. He had a scene in this one where he was laughing again when I think it was when Bobby Bird left, and he goes through that like laughing thing, like, oh, what's James Brown gonna do without Bobby Bird or something, you know? But I just again like I like how he uses his laugh to like not for like funny scenes, but it's usually for like dramatic scenes. Like I think Chadwick's very good at like displaying that like when you're just so full of emotion, all you can do is laugh.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it feels like a lot of times. And so I really like that scene as well.
Yeah.
And I guess that scene also, like, I thought a similar scene was when the band walks out in that recording studio.
I liked that scene.
I thought that was another really good scene.
You mentioned Bobby Bird. I think the actor who played him did a really good job. We already talked about the actors, but I especially really liked the scene where he's having a conversation with Daryl from The Office. I can't remember. I can't remember
whoever from the band. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who he's in the band, but he asked Bobby Bird. He's like, "Why don't you ever sing lead?" Like Bobby Bird is like, "I realized once I was with James Brown, I'm not meant to sing."
Yeah.
And there was just something so like raw about realizing that your role in, I guess, someone else's dream versus your dream, where like most of the time we all see ourselves as like center stage and the star and everything like that, but then you kind of realize and like look back and you're like, I don't think I was meant to be the lead here, and because he's meant to be the lead, we need to treat him like the lead, and even though it's going to be really hard, I know my place is to not. It was just like beautiful but like heartbreaking, and just I think it fully encapsulated their relationship really well, because he's constantly putting up with James Brown's BS like, the whole time.
It's definitely like a huge thing to be able to step back, because like everyone kind of wants to be the main character in their own movie, you know? But it's kind of like, it's a huge thing to be able to see the larger picture and step back and say, okay, on like the higher level, I'm not the star of this movie. It is James Brown. And I recognize that, and I will, go along accordingly. I definitely appreciate that moment as well. Did you have anything else?
I said the music itself and like the performances were really those were like not even music performances, those were like athletic achievements. They were good.
Like you definitely get the like he's a performer, like not just a musician, like when he's on stage, like especially when he was like pushing to do like the live album toward the beginning, like I don't know, I also appreciated that too, because like I kind of have a thing for live performances. I just kind of, I think artists tend to put like a lot more emotion in. You get a lot more like improvising usually. You just kind of get like that very like raw recording of the song. So I thought like he just did very good at like capturing the stage and like having that stage presence.
I like live albums. Like if I can't hear the crowd too much. I don't like when I can hear
usually
the crowd.
they're able to cut out the crowd pretty well. Like you might hear it in between songs, but usually it's pretty decent.
There have been a few where I've heard the crowd pretty loud, and I'm like, I didn't want to hear screaming. Thank you so much, though.
I guess the other scene was the scene where they were on the stage after MLK got shot. And, like all the black people were going up, and like I thought it was like really good how he controlled that. Like, I just thought that was a cool kind of scene. It definitely showed like the kind of crossover between like music and like politics, music and like these larger issues. Like a lot of times we still see this to this day, where like people try to box in performers as like, oh, just stick to music, just stick to your sport.
Yeah, like just shut up and sing. Or, like,
so it was nice seeing that kind of crossover and seeing how like these issues affect us. These issues affect black people, whether we're singers, dancers, accountants, like whatever we're doing. Like these issues affect us in our daily life. But all right, you want to go into things we did not like?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll go as you're looking for your book. One of the things. This is weird because I both liked it and didn't like it. I both liked and didn't like how jumpy it was in terms of like going throughout a story. Like it's so weird because sometimes I do like when we don't tell the story straight through, but I feel as though at certain points we didn't like sit and breathe in the time period we were in, so we couldn't before we like just jump somewhere else. And I was like, we sometimes, this especially happened in the beginning when we were moving around between when he was like a little kid and then like him older and then him like super duper old. Like we moved around that a little too much for me to be like, I just need us to be one place right now. Like we're moving a little too much.
Yeah, no, I actually had the same exact thing written down. Like I thought the timing was just like so hard to follow. Like they were putting dates on the screen, but like we were jumping from like several different time periods at once. Like we'd see him as a kid, then we'd see him like before he was famous, then we'd see him like after he was like very famous, then we'd see him like in the middle. Like so there was a lot of jumping around, especially in the beginning. Like in the beginning I had no idea what was going on. Like absolutely no idea. Like I think towards the middle it kind of settled down a little bit.
Yeah, so it was a bit better in the middle.
You got longer snippets.
And you got to like be there. Yeah. But like too much in the beginning we were like boom, 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 boom. And I was like,
and it left me with a lot of questions, like, because you would see, like, short scenes of things happen, and then they'd go and, like, skip to, like, the future, and then you'd never go back to that scene, or they'd never even touch on it, you know? So the skipping it was hard to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, like very confusing.
But it's weird because as a concept, I do like non-linear narratives.
Yeah.
Like, I do like it as a concept.
I will say
like,
this one seemed like more complex than most. Like when I think of a non-linear narrative, I usually think of like, oh, we show like the parallels between their childhood and like present day. But this one, I feel like it like almost had like 4 or 5 different like distinct time periods they were trying to like
they were going
bounce
through a lot.
And that was kind of the part that like it was just hard to follow, you know. And yes, like again, like the makeup part helped because he looks so different in each of the parts. So, like again, by like the middle end, you kind of get used to how much it jumps around, so you can kind of say, okay, like that's this time period, that's this time period. But it was very confusing. Let's see. Yeah, and I guess kind of related to that, this was kind of the other thing I didn't like. I didn't really know what I was supposed to pull from his life after watching this. Like
that makes sense.
I wasn't too familiar with James Brown going into this, to be honest. And coming out of it, I don't really feel much more familiar with him or with his work or who he was really.
I feel a little more familiar with his work when I
start.
Like
there's a couple songs.
Because a lot of his songs I do know.
Yeah.
But it's like.
But I feel like I haven't seen too many biopics, but like most of the ones I've seen, like I guess I'm specifically thinking of like the NWA one that came out a few years ago.
I was literally gonna make a comment about that in my review.
Yeah.
My
and then
rating.
I also watched. I think I watched I think I watched. Did I watch the Prince one yet? I don't know if I watched the Prince one, but I definitely watched the Queen one. And Bohemian Rhapsody, yeah. And those I really felt like I knew the artist after. Like I really wanted to listen to their album. This one, I almost didn't feel the same. Like I want to listen to it just because like I know he's influential and I didn't get enough from the movie. So that's why I want to listen to like his albums. But other biopics I've watched, I've like gotten so excited about the artist after watching it that I want to listen to it. You know, so I didn't really get that feeling.
Honestly, this made me think, like you said, of Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah.
And it also made me more excited for the Selena docuseries that's coming on Netflix.
Yeah.
Just because I know they're going to do a good job, and I love Christian Cerritos, and she's in it, and they have another Walking Dead person in this thing, so I was like, that's my through line. I'm excited. But yeah. One thing this isn't even I didn't like it. This was just what the hell? It was the scene where the kids got
Royal
numbers
Rumble.
painted on
No, I had the exact same thing written down. I didn't know what I didn't like about it, but I didn't like anything about it. I was like, what is this? What are we watching right now?
I was so confused because all of a sudden you like see a bunch of blindfolded black kids.
Yeah.
Like not even black kids, black boys.
Yeah.
And they were just like all of a sudden getting numbers painted on them, and I was like,
is this like a slave auction? That was my first thought. I was like, this doesn't seem like the time period. But then they like had
wasn't the time
they had like
period.
one arm behind the back, and I was like, they're gonna make them fight blindfolded. That seems odd. And then they did, and I was like.
Meanwhile, it's just like a bunch of white people in like a pretty big like plantation style mansion house.
That was an uncomfortable
with also black people like playing music.
Yeah.
I think it was meant to show that James Brown has always been a fighter, but there had to be a better way to show
it.
Like
him winning that didn't even feel good. Like I didn't like and I didn't know why they didn't drag him out the ring. It seemed like as soon as people dropped, they just dragged him out the ring, but they let him like just start bleeding out on the floor for a while until he got up.
I don't know.
But
there was. I think it was meant to show he was a fighter, but there was like 10 trillion better ways to show that. Like, ooh.
I don't know what this is. I don't know what and that's like the thing. Like, it bounced around so much. Like, you get scenes like this, and like the only thing I really got from this movie about him was like he had a traumatic past, like shitty parents,
and you kind of see some of it. See some of the
stars. That's all you get. You know.
I don't know what was happening.
So I don't know.
That's where the jumpiness kind of like messed us up.
Yeah, a lot of his childhood
like
stuff, you know, like I didn't even know what his like the problem with his parents really was. It's like I guess like they were in an abusive relationship, but I didn't know if there was anything aside from that. Like that scene where she like straight up disowned her son at a party, like that scene, like that to me, I thought she was like on drugs or something because she disowned the kid. But I guess she just wanted to like hook up with the guy. But
she wants to get laid, and you can't get laid with your kid there.
But now I'm like, you're at a party with like all adults and one kid. Like that has to be someone's kid, you know? And like no one's claiming this kid, and he directly called you mom. So like they just let that slide, let this kid run off. Like I would be looking at that woman like, he called you mom. No one else knows this kid. Are you his mom? Like don't lie to us. Like that is a kid. He needs help. I guess James Brown don't need anybody, so.
Even as a baby.
Yeah, but I was like, so I don't know. Like, I feel like we didn't like really get the whole picture of that, you know. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I wanted a little more from like, I guess, more from like his life and more from like getting that like, how did he really get into music? Like, I understand he was getting beat up listening to music all the time, but like, I don't know was just a point where like he was just like, yeah, I sing, and I was like, you sing now, huh? And like I remember those like things of you like tapping the stick with your dad, but then he like slapped you and you left, you know. And then I remember you getting beat up listening to the band. Like,
yeah.
I guess you won that one, but like then you robbed the suit. Now you're a good singer, you know. So yeah, I just felt like the skipping around just didn't give me that like cohesive story I wanted, you know.
Yeah.
It gave me like parts of the story I wanted, you know.
Yeah.
So
Final ratings.
Or yeah, well, any more dislikes? Do I have any? I might have one more.
I think that weird scene with the kids really just broke me. So I was like, I don't think after this I can say anything else. Like this is.
I get that.
And I think it encapsulated everything I didn't like too.
Yeah. No, that actually all ones I didn't like.
Okay.
Yeah, we can get into ratings now.
You go first.
Yeah, I'll go first. For me, this one was a 2.5. I really wanted to like this one a lot more, but again, like, I really didn't get what I wanted out of this one, and that's kind of what it came down to for me. Like, I went in this wanting to come out liking James Brown a lot and wanting to listen to him, knowing a lot more about his story, knowing a lot more about his life, you know. And Chadwick was definitely capable of telling that story. All the actors on screen were, but I think just the non-linear storytelling, I just couldn't really get behind it in this one. That and like again, like I just felt like there were a lot of holes I didn't really get, like they didn't really explore. And this is a almost 2.5 hour movie, you know. So like I shouldn't be walking out feeling like I barely know about the main character, you know. So yeah, that was probably my biggest gripe. Just like I really just didn't get what I wanted out of this one. So 2.5 for me. What did you think?
Yeah, I also give it a 2.5 out of 5. Like you, I really was excited for this because, like I said, I vaguely know some of his songs, and I was like, I'd like to like see that happen and come out a James Brown fan. But it was just so long, and it was one of those longs where you didn't get anything.
Yeah.
And I feel as though if you're gonna make a movie long, you kind of need to like, it needs to be one of those things where we tried to cut out as much as we could, but we have to keep every single thing in here. Every scene is important. That's why it's this long. And it was not that. They could have cut stuff out. Like, off the top of my head, I don't know exactly what that kid scene, most definitely.
Probably, yeah.
But it was just something needs to get cut. I also kind of wish they kept up the breaking of the fourth wall type thing, because I did like that little nod in as he's like explaining some things, because when you look at it on the surface and what they say in the IMDb about how he went from extreme poverty to extreme fame and success, that is crazy. That instance is crazy. So to see him like intersperse it with like his little breaking of the fourth wall commentary, whatever, that was good, and it kind of like helped you almost get not even a narrative, but it just helped you know about his mind more. So I think they should have done a little bit more of that, and maybe this wasn't the time to do a non-linear story. Like, I think this was the time where you kind of do need to do front to back, cut some things out, but I think that was my main gripe.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on the fourth wall breaking. I honestly wasn't a huge fan, but now that you bring it up, like, I think part of the reason I wasn't a fan was because it seemed like kind of just sporadic and random. Like, I felt like there were a lot more moments where they should have used it and could have, and I think had they used it more, I think I would have liked it a lot more, and I think it could have done that, given me what I wanted, you know, that kind of like, okay, what is he actually thinking right now? Because of course you see, like, to me it almost felt like I'm just getting that, like, almost like standard rock star movie, you know, like they start off really poor, having nothing, but they're always kind of have that confidence, know they're going to be great, then they get it and they just kind of become a prick, you know, they kind of just become like very cocky, very full of themselves, very egotistical, so I kind of like got that very heavy from the movie, but like, I feel like I didn't really get anything, you know, like, that just seems like the standard, like, rock star
But
story.
I did really like the breaking of the fourth wall bits. Like, the press that they did, especially when he was, like, showing how he was going to get his name out there. And
that was a good
one. So I was like, more of that, please.
That's what I'm like, that's what I'm like, now that I think about it, like, had we had more of that, I would have loved it a lot more.
Yeah.
There just
so
wasn't enough of it.
We mentioned Straight Outta Compton a few times. I think this could have done with the Straight Outta Compton streamline treatment, and maybe interspersed a little bit of that breaking of the fourth wall, and I think that's what I would have enjoyed a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I think with the added fourth wall, if done correctly, I think they can keep the non-linear storytelling. I would just maybe cut out a few time periods, or maybe make some scenes longer when you skip around, like, honestly, like, the second half, I thought they paced it very well. The beginning half is really the only problem I really had, the pacing problem. Because they were just jumping back and forth. Like, that whole first scene, I didn't even understand. Where he, like, had the gun and was, like, like, I didn't even know where he was.
Oh, I looked it up. He owned a shopping mall, and he had a private bathroom there, and some woman used it. And then he went to find her.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think he was ever meant to kill her.
Yeah, no, he didn't try, really.
He didn't try. I don't know what that was, though.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, like, I didn't know what time period. Like, I barely knew that was Chadwick Boseman when he walked on the screen, you know? So, like, it was just, like, a lot of, like, again, the pacing in the beginning was just very, like, choppy and fast, you know?
Yeah.
But, alright, final question.
Do you wish you'd seen this earlier?
Yeah, this one, again, not super old. I think, what was this one, 2014? Yeah, so, this one's, like, a pretty easy no for me. The movie was just okay. Like, again, it wasn't the movie I wanted it to be. Like, again, if it was a better movie, maybe this answer would have been yes, but, yeah, it's, like, a pretty easy no for me. I am glad I saw it, though.
I'm glad I saw it as well. It's also a no for me, just because it was too long, and it was too long and not doing things.
Very long.
And I do need you, if you're going to be a long movie, you do need to do things with that time.
Yeah, this was pushing 2 hours and 20 minutes. That is a lot of minutes.
And it's not even like I haven't seen long movies. Like, I saw Avengers Endgame 3 times. That's a long-ass movie.
No.
But I was fine with that, because they did everything in
like,
the movie.
Yeah, this one, like, wasn't that exciting. Like, again, you had your moments, you had your musical performances, that was good. I think my favorite musical performance was it Lionel Richie and Little Richard when he took over the stage?
Yeah,
that
that.
Honestly, both of those performances were probably my like top. That whole like scene, you know. And again, that was one of those longer like segments where we like actually had a long, you know, time segment.
He's like,
we're not.
That. It was the thing where it was like, we're not scheduled to perform.
Yeah.
We just finished performing. We're gonna go on that stage when he's on a break and just like put ourselves out. That was good.
And not only did we get both those performances, we also got that little after conversation between Little Richie and James Brown. Little Richard. Gosh, I like Butcher's name so many times. But yeah.
Just more of them, like, I don't know. So, that was Get On Up.
Yeah, the video's getting long once again. These videos are really starting to get long.
I think this one is because the movie was so long.
These are like more, like these Chadwick Boseman movies are kind of like more serious topics. Like, they're not really like light-hearted movies per se. Yeah. You know, so there's a lot more to discuss, I guess. But, yeah, YouTube housekeeping. Like, comment, subscribe.
Ring the bell for notifications. If you have any suggestions, you can leave them in the comments down below. We do movies on Tuesdays and Fridays, and on Sundays we do music and TV. All of our socials will be linked below, and we'll see you next time to catch up. Bye. And cut out the kid boxing scene.
Yeah, I don't know what.
I don't know what I was supposed to do with that.
Yeah.
And they don't mention it in the Wikipedia either.
Oh, probably because it didn't have any impact on the movie, really. Like, aside from him, like, getting laid out on the floor and listening to people play music, like, there's no need for that scene.
I need a support group of people who saw Get On Up and just can't get